Hi, I'd like to spend a few minutes with this video just going over one of the points I made in a recent newsletter. I finished that newsletter with a simple sentence, which I'll read out now. If you believe you still have to do something to create a better reality, you have not yet released the old conditioning from which the perceived desire for change arises. Now, I wanted to talk a bit more about that because I think it's a very important point, even though it's only a point of view, that came to me when I was writing the article. It seems that when we have a particular fear or phobia, levels of conditioned anxiety, something from the past that has not yet been brought into our conscious awareness, we continue to attract that particular reality into our lives. And in the article I used the example of the fear of spiders, arachnophobia. It's not important where this comes from at the moment, why we have it. Simply, particularly living here in Australia, where we have an abundance of spiders, is that certain people with this phobia will see spiders wherever they go. I don't have that phobia, and so I don't see the spiders. I see spiders, but very, very few. And of course, the biggest question is whether I put them outside or just leave them be. But if you have the phobia, it seems as though you attract or you manifest spiders. I mean, that's a pretty difficult thing to truly come to terms with, that you're actually manifesting the spiders. But I think that that's only touching the surface of what's really going on. I believe that we do, on some level, manifest the spiders, as some people who claim to have parking angels manifest parking spots in busy times of the day. We all have these little things that show up, whether we're conscious of creating that reality or not. My concern at the moment is that when we create or manifest a particular reality, and let's stick with the spiders, it's an easy one to get a hold of at the moment. When we continue to manifest lots and lots of spiders, it's not that there are so many more spiders in the world, in our world, it's just that for some reason they're drawn into I was going to say our web, but their own web, of course, but they're drawn into our world, our reality, for some reason, whereas they're not drawn into the reality of someone that doesn't have the phobia. This can apply to all sorts of things, of course. It's not just spiders. It's anxiety, any levels of anxiety that we have around issues around shopping in the supermarket, for example. Huge panic attacks, anxiety attacks can occur then, even going out to dinner with other people, strangers, creates a lot of anxious feelings in certain people. Lots of different subconscious conditioning that shows up. I think the important point here is that if we are manifesting spiders, then we can extrapolate from that, spread it out, take it out further, and see that the subconscious is manifesting our reality. And until we bring that subconscious into our awareness, it's going to continue to do so. And then, of course, once it does, once the spiders show up, then we have to do something about it. But because we're very often paralyzed by this fear of spiders, there's not much we can do, apart from try and kill them all, but then, of course, they just keep showing up. So the issue here is not what to do with what shows up, it's why it shows up in the first place. Now, if you have this particular phobia or any other area in your life that challenges you on a frequent basis, you'll see that decisions that you make are based upon this subconscious conditioning. You would be very conscious of anxiety or situations that create anxiety, around spiders or whatever, and you would then try to change that situation on a subtle level so that you didn't have to meet it. So your life would be starting to be built fundamentally upon issues that you're not necessarily conscious of. So you react a lot, you try to avoid situations based on this fear, this anxiety or this phobia. So you start to create a reality built upon a high level of anxiety or a phobia. And so out of that arises the need for change, a spider-free environment, an anxiety-free environment. And so we do things to try to create that reality. So a lot of change that we desire in our lives comes from a place of trying to avoid something, a feeling or a situation that lurks in the subconscious. If we bring that to the light, if we understand it truly for what it is, if we can release the intensity of the charge that we hold around this anxiety, this phobia, then the need for change will not arise. The need for change only arises because we're coming from a place of insecurity, of anxiety, of lack, of all sorts of phenomena. So if we analyse why we want change, we will see that there's an equal and opposite point of view that's supporting or creating a reality that requires change in order for us to feel at peace. If we can move beyond that phobia, that anxiety, if we can understand it for what it truly is, then the need for change, the desire for change, simply falls away. Change is only required to balance out the opposite that is a subconsciously driven program. If we bring that program into the light, if we can embrace it, if we can accept it through various techniques, clearing is just one of them, then as the charge of this subconscious issue fades away, so the need for change fades away. And of course what we're left with then is a deeper level of inner peace, which then becomes the manifesting force, or the dominant manifesting force. It's not just black or white, it's not one or the other. We're a very complex mixture of emotions and subconscious conditioning, desires, etc. But if we can bring this inner peace back, then of course the manifestation of that inner peace is going to be outer peace. So spiders then, anxiety then ceases to become an issue. And when it's not an issue, of course, there is no need for an equal and opposite stand, because the equal and opposite stand that we take to try and avoid uncomfortable situations is simply a product of the dark side, the shadow side, the unloved, the unknown, the unaccepted side, creating a reality within which we feel uncomfortable. If that no longer created the reality, then we would feel comfortable. When we feel comfortable, there is no need for change. When there is no need for change, when we're not driven by a desire for change based upon this subconscious conditioning, we're going to create a very different reality. So perhaps not all situations arise like this, perhaps not all desire for change arises from this place, but I would suspect that a huge percentage of any desire that we have for change arises because we have this subconscious addiction, this subconscious conditioning, this subconscious anxiety or phobia that generates the need for change, keeping us looking outside of ourselves for something that's going to create a more peaceful internal environment, when in actual fact, if we, through simple process, begin to bring the shadow into our conscious awareness, then the need for change will fall away. There's some more information on this in the article, of course. It was in the newsletter number 72, and you'll see after this video a link that you can click on to read the article if you're interested. I hope this helps. Certainly gives you something to think about. If your phobias are creating your reality, if your phobias are demanding change in your life, then recognize the phobia for what it is. Learn to accept, step by step, the feelings associated with the phobia so that they no longer control your life, and then your life will be a very different experience. Plenty more on the website, of course, to view and to read should you find this subject at all interesting. Till next time, be well, be happy, and of course, keep breathing and keep smiling.